right. On to topic number 2, Pixel Fold leaks and Google I/O. Google apparently plans to unveil their upcoming Pixel Fold on May 10th at their Google I/O conference. Now, there have been leaks, there's been, sightings in the wild. There's a video that came out recently of what is supposed to be a Pixel Fold, someone opening and closing a Pixel Fold, showing off the mechanism, showing off the screens. So it's supposed to have a 5.8-inch outside screen, 7.6-inch main screen. It's supposed to be powered by the Tensor G2 chip, which is the same as the Pixel 7, 7 Pro, and what's probably going to be the upcoming Pixel 7a. It's supposed to have the most durable hinge on a folding phone. That's what Google claims, or I guess someone within Google claims. And it's going to be marketed as water resistant and pocket sized. Now, these are all rumors at the moment, right? But one of the rumors is also that it's supposed to be upwards of $1,700. So around the price of the Samsung Z Fold 4. But, my question to you, have you seen these leaks? Have you seen these rumors? Are you excited for a Pixel Fold? Are you excited to see what Google does with it? Or do you think, okay, yeah, this is still, a ways out, nothing to be excited about? What are your thoughts on the Pixel Fold?
Yeah, I'm personally not excited about it. This is one of those weird devices that, like, I get it. There's a lot of excitement around the foldable space, especially with in the North American market where we don't have a lot of competition for the Samsung Z Fold. And this is coming from Google, so you're gonna get stock Android. You're gonna get that Pixel kind of experience, great cameras, which is something that hasn't really happened on the, or at least you would hope it has great camera from the Pixel brand, but that's something that we haven't really seen in the foldable space. Usually, especially with the Samsung Z Fold devices, they have had the previous generation of cameras. But well, first I'll start with things that I like about this. From the leak, I like the form factor. 5.8-inch outer screen. It's a little bit more wide. It's actually quite a bit more wide than the Z Fold, which is a very narrow outer display. It looks much more usable in one hand. Looks a lot thinner. And it kind of reminds me, the design, a little bit of a smaller version of the Microsoft Duo with the way that screen works. But as much as I like the Microsoft Duo, I don't really like the way, at least from the leaked video, if it is the actual Fold, I don't like the way this phone looks when it's unfolded. It still looks very plasticky, which is an issue I've always had with foldable phones. They just seem not great in terms of the plastic screens, and has this kind of weird looking bezel that doesn't look premium or high quality at all. It looks very, very plasticky. But what they are doing here is they're trying to make a more pocketable, better aspect ratio, slimmer, smaller foldable device, which is something we don't have in the North American market. So for people who are interested in foldable phones, I'm excited for them, just because this is a very different kind of form factor than what the Z Fold is doing. But as for someone like me who hasn't been super excited about foldable phones right now with their plastic screens, this isn't something that I'm all that interested in. That being said, I think you brought up a good point in a previous podcast that Google, making their own foldable device and showing it off at I/O would mean that they're going to build more of these foldable features into Android, which they already started to do, but it's not really at the level where it needs to be for foldables to kind of take over. So maybe if they're making their own device, they're going to take these foldable features and the benefits of having a foldable to heart, and make it a forefront of Android. And that will only help make the competition even better, because it's just going to be baked in from Android from the beginning. So yeah, I think from that standpoint, the fact that they're making a different form factor from the Z Fold, it's going to be available in the North American market, and it's going to make Android take foldables more seriously than they have in the past. I'm excited on that point. But for this actual physical device, I don't know. It something about it to me looks a little off, at least from the little bits that we've seen. And obviously the price is really high. But yeah, how about you? Do you feel like maybe this is Google doing a great foldable device that's going to compete with the Z Fold, or are you like me and maybe not sold on the hardware that we've seen so far.
Um, I'm not 100% sold on the hardware that we've seen so far, but also I'm still taking it with a grain of salt because this is a leak,
Yeah,
right? This could be some engineering sample where
good point.
maybe the sample that we've seen is like, okay, we're just testing to see how well this hinge design works. So we're not investing a lot in the bezels or the screen. We just want to see, okay, is this easy to open and close?
Hmm.
So I'm giving Google the benefit of the doubt to say, hey, they didn't expect this leak that everyone's seen. They didn't expect this to get out to the public, so they didn't put their best screen on this. So I'm hoping that by the time Google does launch this or does debut this or shows it off at I/O, I'm hoping that they have a premium screen, that doesn't look too plasticky. I like the form factor. I like that it is as same as you. I like it's slightly wider, seems a little bit easier to hold, and seems more of an actual phone before it's unfolded. One thing with the Z Fold, at least that I found from my brief experience with it, is it's almost like a bit too narrow to use while closed. It's a little bit too narrow and too thick. When you open it up into the tablet size version, it's great to use, but my brief time with it, I didn't find it as easy to use when it's closed. This, from what we've seen, this foldable seems a lot more usable when it's closed. And I think this is some similar to what was it? The Oppo Find? The Oppo Find. It's more of like a passport size or passport aspect ratio, which I think would be more useful. But as you said, there isn't much competition for Samsung inside North America. So I'm excited to see what Google has to offer. I typically like, Pixel stuff, Nexus stuff, Galaxy stuff, going all the way back. So I'm excited to see what they have to offer with this. And I'm excited for there to be some competition for Samsung in North America. Now, as much as I say, okay, it's not the easiest to use in one hand, what Samsung's done with the Z Fold has been amazing. Like they've made a very solid product. But, you know, do they are they complacent because they know, hey, in North America you can't buy another foldable phone, so we have that market cornered. We don't have to worry about Vivo or Huawei or Oppo or any of those other people in North America. So now that Pixel is coming into the fold, pun intended, uh maybe that forces Samsung to step up their game a little bit. And you brought up a good point. You know, people who have bought a Z Fold or, the Z Flip, it's been this is a foldable device and the cameras are serviceable. Yeah, you can take pictures, but it's not going to be the best picture. It's not going to be a great picture, but it's going to be a picture that you can, show to people. But it's, oh, look how cool my phone is. Look how big this screen gets, as opposed to look how good this photo is. I'm also optimistic about the cameras on this foldable phone because for quite some time, Google has produced amazing photos. Some people would say the best photos with subpar camera hardware. It's because they have the camera software figured out so well. So I would be confident in them sticking one of their old sensors from, the Pixel 5 and before
Hmm.
into this phone and understanding that, okay, this isn't the best sensor, but we know how to tweak the results of this sensor with our software to produce good photos. And I think that they could definitely beat Samsung when it comes to, okay, a foldable phone that can also take good pictures that you're going to want to show to people, right? So I think the software is going to be good. I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be a lot better than what Microsoft did with their Duo device. I'd imagine it'd be better. I think the camera is going to be really good too, or what the camera produces is going to be really good too. I like the form factor, but we'll have to wait and see what the build quality is for them to actually debut it. And yeah, that the price, right? I don't think Google can compete with Samsung if they come in at a similar price. Google, I feel, hasn't been a premium brand for long enough. With these latest Pixel, with the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 7, they're trying to rebrand as more premium, but they've been budget for quite some time. And I don't think they've established themselves as a premium enough brand to come in at a price similar to what Samsung does, even if they have, great build quality and a great camera and great operating system and all of that stuff. They could do all that amazing. But I still don't think they've built up enough credibility with the mass public to come in at that similar price. But, do you think do you agree with me? Do you think that, hey, Google isn't premium enough? Or do you think if they execute this well enough, if they build, great build quality, a great screen, great camera, great software experience, do you think that they could compete with Samsung at the same price as them?
No, um, for a couple of reasons. One, I would say I wouldn't expect them to be able to compete with Samsung just because Samsung has the brand recognition.
Hmm.
They are the number one player in the Android space, especially in North America. Obviously, around the world, there are more competitive companies like Xiaomi um, that do a great job as well. But in North America, it's Samsung. Pixel is definitely second fiddle, if not third. Uh, but also, I would say no because I do not expect a great software experience. I've said
Mm.
many times on this podcast in the past, I think stock Android is a worse version of Android than what uh, Samsung and Xiaomi and a lot of these other companies have made. I know there's a lot of people in the tech space, especially in the YouTube space, who talk about how much they love stock Android, and 100% there's a lot of really good things about it, especially about how lightweight it can be. But when it comes to implementing features into a phone, I don't think anyone would say that Nexus and Pixel is on the top of that list. They usually offer the least amount of features into their phones. And when you're in the space of a foldable, you need reasons to need to open up that phone. You need apps to be able to take up the whole screen. You need things to be, the columns or things like decks, like these options that other companies implement into their devices to make them more usable that Google has historically not done. Now, that being said, I did mention that hopefully this means that they take this kind of stuff more seriously and implement these features into Android itself. Maybe steal some features, which is something that Google has done many times in the past. Steal a lot of the third parties' best features and implement them into Android's base. We'll see. I think what's going to be most interesting is to see if they do anything with the launcher. If the launcher comes out with just the standard Pixel launcher on this fold device when you unfold it, I think that's going to be a huge sign that Google is going to be doing the bare minimum. And then like you mentioned, price. It's really high. It's $17.99 for the 256 gigabyte version, just over $1,900 for the 512 gigabyte version. It's an expensive phone. Uh, yeah, Google's definitely going to have to take software seriously for it to be worth it. And I think personally, this is just me personally, I think a lot of, because the Duo, the Microsoft Duo 2, which I know not a popular foldable, but a device that I love, I think the second version of that phone really did tackle a lot of the software issues, especially after launch. My opinion, what hurt that device the most was the price. And, that really kind of turned people off from the very beginning, and a lot of people didn't get to try it. But if you do hear from a lot of people who daily drove something like the Duo 1 or even the Duo 2, especially the Duo 2, they talk about how much they liked that device and how productive they could be with that device, a dual screen kind of device. Yeah, that's something that Google is going to need to do. They're going to need to support this device with great software. It's going to need to be bug-free software, which Google is not known for. And it's the price is going to turn a lot of people off from actually trying it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a lot of the conversation that we got around the Surface Duo device around this device from the beginning, just because it's so expensive.
Mhm.